Hello my lovely Flosstube friends, welcome back to the channel. A very warm welcomes to you all. Wow. If you are a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, you will know I have been missing in action for some time now. So yeah, nearly 6 months. I think it's 5 months-ish. You'll all know from the last video that I done back in, I think it was end of October, beginning of November, that there was a lot going on in my life. And I said that I didn't think I'd get another video up for a month, possibly 2. I didn't actually anticipate that it would be this long. But I'm here now, but like I say, a lot has happened. So you will have to excuse me if my video is a little bit disjointed and a little bit long, because so much has happened and I'm really out of sync, and even forgotten how to do these videos. So this could be quite interesting. But I have to say a huge thank you to everyone that has reached out to me on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Messenger. Thank you for all your lovely, lovely kind words, checking in, making sure that I'm doing okay, and asking if everything's okay, and the lovely messages about you all missing me. I've missed you all terribly, but I have to say I have been so busy with life and everything that it's thrown at us that I couldn't bring myself to do social media. I didn't have time to answer anyone, and it felt wrong to answer one but not others. So for those of you that got a little thumbs up, then thank you. And for those that I haven't quite got round to giving a thumbs up to, I do apologise, but I have seen most of the messages, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for checking in to make sure we're okay. So where to start? Do you know what? I was thinking, I think it's took me a little while to consider how to do this video, because it's been so long since I spoke to you and so much has happened. It's like, well, how much life update do I give them? And given that there's been so much that's been going on, there has been almost negligible stitching. I mean, there have been days, weeks, I haven't stitched at all. So at that point, it was like, well, there's not really any point in me doing a video because I can't show anyone anything because I haven't stitched on anything. And it's not even that I haven't stitched on anything because I haven't had the time to stitch on anything. I haven't stitched on anything because I haven't felt like stitching either. That's how bad things have got. So, yeah. And then it was like, well, I've got a bit of stitching, but there's so much life and then so much time has passed. It's like, how do I explain to everyone where I've been and what I've been doing when I haven't really got that much stitching to show? But there seems to be so much to talk about life and all the things that have happened. But I wanted it to sort of be an equal mix, if you like, because I know everyone's not interested in hearing about my life, because my life's no different really to anybody else's life, I don't think. You know, things happen and, you know, you tick along and you make do as best you can, and then something else rolls your way, and, you know, and if you're lucky, nothing exciting happens in your life and you can just sit back, enjoy life and do a bit of stitching. So if you're one of those lucky ones, you know, I look forward to those days coming very, very soon, I hope. So what to tell you and how to start the video. Hello all, I have missed you all. There isn't that much additional stitching to probably what you've already seen. So I thought the best way to do this video would be to basically, because I didn't do my end of year WIP parade, or, you know, look back from last year, we'd try and do it that way. Because, yeah, if I was to sit here and try and tell you what it is that you last saw, then, yeah, we're not going to get very far with this. So I thought, you know what, just pull everything out that I've got. Where there's a new start, obviously, I'll say I think it's a new start, because that's the problem. I can't even remember. I mean, I tried to look back on my last video, but as you know, because of the number of WIPs I've got, I don't always stitch on everything every month. So then I can't remember, and I can't sit and watch my own videos back. That's, yeah, I cringe at that. So what to tell you? If I give you a brief overview, I have a book, trusty book, that I thought I'd make some notes on to try and make this video move as fast as possible and get the first one out there, just because I think, yeah, it's time to come back I'm starting to get to do a bit of stitching, and I'm missing my stitching. So I'm like, now's the right time to do this. But with so much that's happened and so much to inform you with, it was like, I think the best way to do it is give you a very brief overview now of all the things, and then we'll look at the stitching and do that. And then I think probably what I'll try and do is I'll try and do some Stitch With Me's where I talk a bit more in depth about the things that have happened in life, which will explain why I've been gone for so long. So, where to start? The last video I introduced you to our new family member. Our new family member was my little Cavalier puppy, Coda. That was at the end of October, beginning November. I think it was in November I last updated you all. And unfortunately, poor little Coda became suddenly ill one day after he'd been for his walk and he'd had his breakfast. We took him to the vets, and they thought maybe he'd eaten something, you know, because he was a bit of a forager. He did like to have a little nibble on things he shouldn't eat. So no one really was overly concerned. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to the end of the day, and we lost him very, very sadly, very, very quickly. It was a huge, huge big deal for us. It was, yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how it made us feel. And the fact that we waited so long after having, you know, after losing Fudge. I mean, we lost Fudge back in May 2021, and it took me till November to think, you know, we're ready. And then we was ready, and then we got him, and although he was a handful, he was absolutely adorable, the best little thing ever. And then he was just snatched away from us, and it was just like, there was this huge hole. I can't even describe how. I mean, I thought losing Fudge was hard after having him for 11 years, but at least I had good memories with him. So I had that was Fudge's favourite place, and that was Fudge's favourite chair, and oh, Fudge liked to do this, and Fudge liked to do that. But we had all this warm, fuzzy memories. Unfortunately, with Coda, because he was still really quite small, and he was only, I think, about 17 or 18 weeks when we lost him, we didn't really have that. So the only memories I had of Coda was me saying, no, don't, stop, bad, don't do that. Those were the things that I had. And because he hadn't been with us long enough, and he was only in the last 2 weeks before we lost him, he was only just starting to sort of settle into our family routine of, you know, when Mummy sits down to start work, Coda would sit on his bed next to me with his toys, and he would, you know, behave himself. Yeah, so it was pretty devastating, to say the least. More about the squeaky toy in the background in a moment. So you can imagine for us that was heartbreaking. But we decided very quickly, because there was such a big hole, and we was also devastated after losing our lovely Coda, that we always said we was going to go and get another puppy when he was sort of 6 to 8 months old anyway, so we would have two, like I used to with Chester and Fudge. So after losing Coda so quickly and it being so devastating, and there was this huge hole, not just in my heart, but my whole family was just in bits, absolute bits. We decided that although we'd lost him and we would never be able to replace him because he was irreplaceable, we would go and look for another puppy, because we was ready. We was ready when we got him, and we was thoroughly enjoying every minute of life with him, and then he was gone. So we decided we would start looking. Needless to say, for those of you that follow us on Facebook, you will know that we did find another puppy. So but it gets more interesting than that, because we went out looking for another puppy and ended up falling in love with two, would you believe? But one of them had a small heart murmur. It's called a flow murmur. In Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, they have what's known as a flow murmur, and normally they grow out of it within a few weeks. My daughter and her boyfriend fell in love with little Bonnie, and both me and my husband, for some bizarre reason, were completely bowled over by who is now Honey. And she was Honey from the minute I saw her, because I'm like, oh my God, she looks like a little honey pot. She was like a little honey bear. So the problem was that obviously Bonnie had an underlying issue with a flow murmur, so we couldn't take her there and then. And they said, you know, we want to make sure, given that what's happened to your last puppy, that she is all good and fit to go. So they held back on Bonnie, but we went and picked up Honey. So we had Honey for about a month before we got Bonnie. So let me see if I can get Honey. I think Honey's up there. Honey, Honey, come here. Let me get Honey and introduce you to Honey. Come here. Oh, there's a good girl. Oh, come here. Oh, so here is Honey. This is our new baby, well, one of our new babies, although she's huge. She is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and she is just turned 5 months, aren't you? Aren't you? And you're lovely. She's a very well behaved girl. She's a very big girl. I mean, look at the size of her. She's a monster. But she's adorable, aren't you? Absolutely adorable. So say hi. Say hi to Flosstube, Honey. Say hi. Say hi to the camera. Who's that? Who's that? So this is the first one that we got. So we had her for a month, and then we got what we thought was the all clear for Bonnie, because the vet checked her over for her second vaccinations, and the vet said, yep, I can't hear anything, so she's good to go. So we ended up going and picking Bonnie up. So Bonnie, Honey came home the 17th of January to us. Bonbons, Bonnie, Bonnie come. Up, 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 up. It's a good girl, come here. And then the good news came about our little Bonnie. This is Bonnie. Right, okay, so when did Bonnie come home? Bonnie came home, so we picked Honey up, so we picked Honey up on the 17th of January, and we picked Bonnie up on the 13th of February. So this is Bonnie. And she is such a petite little thing. So they're both sisters, and look how small this one is. She is tiny, tiny, tiny. She's full of kisses, full of love. Yes, I love you too. I love you too. You're a beautiful girl. Yes, you are. So this is the other little addition to the family. So we now have two. So needless to say, so the house is never quiet. It's never dull. There's lots of noise. There's lots of puppy play fighting that goes on. But as far as two puppies are concerned, they are particularly well behaved, and yeah, they're not too much of a problem. This one's the little cuddly one. And so this is Bonnie. And Honey is the action girl, hence the reason why she's just like, get off, Mum. Stop trying to cuddle me, I want to go play. But they are lovely, and we are absolutely in love with them. Like I say, never a replacement for Coda. That was never going to happen. He was completely different altogether. The reason we went with the girls was because after losing Coda, we said we couldn't go and get another boy. That was why we decided to go and look for a girl, because it felt wrong to go and get another boy. But I never had it in my head that I was going to come home and end up with two puppies, or, you know, fall in love with two and end up with two. That wasn't the plan. So obviously trying to train two puppies at the same time and house two puppies at the same time takes up a lot of Mummy's time, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, it does. Oh, sorry. Are you tired, my love? Go and lay down. There we go. Off you go. So they are the new Flosstube Teresa Little Stitch Up highlights. So chances are you will probably see quite a lot of them and hear a lot of them. So if they start making an absolute riot in the back of videos, then what's the matter? Then I'm sorry about that, but there's not much I can do. So if they start making a riot in the back, in the noise, in the background of these videos, then you'll have to grin and bear it whilst they're babies, because they're only 5 months old. They are falling into a really good routine. They know when they're being sent to their beds. they're almost 100% clean. We had the odd little accident with the little bonbons, but not Honey. Honey very rarely will have an accident. But yeah, needless to say, they do take up a lot of my time. What else to tell you? So whilst all of this was going on, you will know that we had some issues with my mum, which, yeah, that was hair-raising, let's just say. And she went in for surgery on the 25th of January, of which was a rather large surgery. Recovery has been slow, painful and hard. However, she did bounce back out of that, and it's looking fairly promising. We're still waiting for a consult, I think the 25th of April, but at the moment we think everything that needed to be took out has been took out, and the plan is there shouldn't need to be any further treatment at this point in time. So at the moment we're all very hopeful and we've all got our fingers crossed. Mum is recovering slowly. It was really hard on her, really hard, which obviously again it's one of the reasons that I didn't have time to stitch or do Flosstube, because I needed to make sure that I was, you know, looking after Mum, spending a bit more time going down to her, making sure she had her appointments sorted out and that we'd done all the things. So, but yeah, so there's that. So whilst all that was going on, we was on the hard push to get the upstairs loft conversion completed, of which we managed it. We got there in the end. So on the 2nd of March, the carpet fitters came in and fitted the carpet, and we officially moved upstairs. So again, I know loads of you have been like, Teresa, when are we going to see the space? When are we going to see it? I will do like a little upstairs tour. In all fairness, with everything that's been going on, other than the fact we decorated and threw all the furniture up, all your soft furnishings, you know, like your curtains and your trinkets and your bits and pieces, I haven't quite got to that yet. I haven't had time to get to that, and I'm like, do you know what? Rome wasn't made in a day, neither was my upstairs, it appears. So yeah, so I will get round to doing all the extra little bits and pieces at some point, but to me right now that's not a priority. We're up there, the space is there, the furniture's there, it's comfortable enough. We just needs those, you know, those little touches to finish it all off. But we are upstairs, so at least like the majority of the build is done. The dust, or most of the dust, is over. We've now got to redo some of downstairs because by doing the things that we did upstairs, it created some issues with the ceilings and stuff downstairs. So yeah, there's more to go, but nowhere near like what it was. So at least that's behind us now. What else happened? So the whole family came down with COVID just before Christmas, which was an absolute mare because I couldn't go down to my mum. My mum was the only one out of us that didn't catch COVID, thank God, because obviously she was really quite poorly then. But literally we all dropped like flies, and I think I came out of isolation 2 days or a day before Christmas Day. So we still managed to have a sort of Christmas Day, just wasn't quite as I would have planned. So it took me a good few weeks to get over having COVID because I was really quite sick for 10 days of it. And the tiredness and some of the side effects of having COVID sort of hit me like a freight train. I'm not sure whether that was because I was also trying to deal with a puppy and also deal with my mum because she was really quite poorly, and we was waiting on a surgery date then. But yeah, so that took its toll. But I'm pleased to say that we all had it. We all managed to scrape through it and make do, and it didn't completely and utterly ruin Christmas. We still had a type of Christmas, which is lovely because we did manage to get all the family together. What else to tell you? So officially today, I'm supposed to have been at the Mirabilia, not just Mirabilia retreat. And here I am doing a Flosstube video, the first one after so long. And the reason that I thought this was, bear with me one moment. So I'm supposed to be at a stitching retreat. Unfortunately, back on the 17th, so the 17th to the 20th of March was mine and Ellie Welly Stitcher's stitching retreat, which is the Essex Needles retreat, which took place at the Novotel at Stansted Airport. It was an absolute blast. It was all new faces. There was one or two that I recognised and I'd seen before, but most people were quite new to retreats, and that was lovely. It was lovely to sort of meet a whole new group of people and do the stitching with and have the weekend with. So that was glorious. It was a total success. We've already booked and fully booked the one for 2023 for next year. So we're already full, and we already have a wait list. So yeah. So it was like we've had the weekend and we've already booked for next year. It was that much of a success. So that was absolutely glorious. However, so that was on the Thursday. On the Wednesday, I came down with what appeared to be just a cold. But by the time I got to the retreat on the Thursday, on the 17th of March, I felt dreadful. So I basically spent the entire weekend feeling dreadful. I even took 3 COVID tests just to make sure it wasn't COVID. It wasn't, but I did catch a virus. And would you believe it, that last week I was on antibiotics for the virus because I ended up with the worst cough ever that just wouldn't go away, and I felt dreadful. So that put a bit of a dampener on it, but it sort of didn't because I was still there. But then what's actually happened was Mum has then either caught it off me or caught it around and about. Girls! So after me having this virus, it's quite rife apparently. It's doing its rounds, especially where I live. I've had it, my daughter Lauren's had it, the neighbours had it, and would you believe it, my mum came down with it. So my mum done a whole week of just what appeared to be like a cold. Seemed like she was doing okay and coping quite well with it, given sort of the surgery, and obviously trying to cough when you've had a surgery on your lung. That's a bit tricky. So we was keeping an eye on her. Everything seemed fine up until yesterday. Or not yesterday, the day before yesterday. I'd been out all day with Bonnie, more about that momentarily. Had an appointment with Bonnie to go and get a heart scan done, which was a 3 hours drive away and 3 hours drive home. So I'd been gone all day. I came back, I think I got home at about 7 o'clock at night. Went down to my mum, and my mum was in all sorts of trouble with the coughing and the lungs. She couldn't cough anything up. So we rang 111 here in the UK. It's not an emergency. It's sort of like almost like out of hours doctory type system. They advised that I should take her to the A&E. So we ended up at A&E the night before last. She's now got antibiotics. They'd done all the checks and tests, decided that she was good enough to come home. They gave her some more pain relief so that she can cough better. They gave her antibiotics to try and clear the chest a little bit because it's viral. And to sort of basically ensure that she doesn't get pneumonia or anything along that line. So they put her on broad spectrum antibiotics to just keep her in the clear, and hope that she can just, you know, work her way through the virus like anybody else. But because of that, we didn't get home until gone 3 o'clock in the morning. And the following day, I should have been going to the retreat. But then, you know, when you're sort of like, given that Mum's had a big surgery and all the things that have happened, I was like, it just feels wrong to go to the retreat and just abandon my mum and leave her for 3 days. To sort of go it alone. Okay, she's got, you know, Lauren and my husband who could pop down there, but it's not quite the same. It's not the same as me checking in on her. So the decision was made yesterday. You know, at first I started to get all the suitcase out to pack all my stitching up to go to the retreat, and I'm like, girls, excuse me, Mummy's talking, shush. I just thought, you know what? See what I have to deal with. This is why these videos could be more interesting than you can imagine. So needless to say, I decided, you know what? I can't leave my mum. I need to stay here. So I had to contact my lovely friend Gina, who was looking after and running the retreat, and apologise that I wouldn't be able to make it, and hope that they all had fun. So I thought to myself, well, okay, I'll make it a stitching retreat at home, like a mini home retreat. So the plan was to sit and do lots of stitching this weekend. I did get some stitching done yesterday, but then the girls put paid to that. And this morning I thought, you know what? If I'm going to do a floss tube, I need to do one. If I don't hurry up and do one, I won't do one, and I'll never come back. So, because it's like, well, how long, after leaving it so long, it's so hard to just get back into the flow and sort of just go, oh yeah, here's what we did, and yeah. So I decided, you know, it's a perfect weekend. I'm supposed to be at a stitching retreat socialising, so I'll socialise with you. Although I've probably just talked the iron legs off a donkey, and this is probably, I don't know, half an hour's worth of life update. I haven't even shown you any stitching, but hey, what's new there? I'm not sure the girls are going to let me get through the whole video, so it might be a bit cut and shut video, because I have to keep switching the camera off because they're making too much noise. There is that possibility. So I think next thing is, on my last video, the one thing I do remember doing is that I did a giveaway. And there was a lovely lady that had shared some charts with me to give away on my videos. So first things first, let's announce the winners for that. So we had lamp onto my feet, and I will put little pictures here of the draw. I did do the random comment picker. So for this one, I asked for the word feet to be in the comment, and Loretta Mullen is the lucky winner for this. So Loretta, if you can contact me, either a comment in the YouTube comments, send me an email. My email address is in the comments, is in the description box below, so you can contact me directly. I'll need your name and address so that I can pop the chart in the post to you. The next one was the Ginger Cottage, this one. I asked for the word ginger, and Denise Gray is the lucky winner for the Ginger Cottage. Again, please contact me using the email address in the description box below, and I will communicate directly with you and get this in the post to you. And finally, the All Things Bright and Beautiful, this one. I asked for the word rabbit, and the lucky winner is Ellen Helms. That's Ellen Helms. All of my details are in the description box below to reach out to me. Give me your address and I will get this in the post to you. So well done, and congratulations for all of those of you that won in the giveaway. So this video giveaway. So you remember the high heels collection I was talking about in the last video, where I was kindly gifted High Heels Collection 2 and 3, but I'd already placed an order with Sparkleys for High Heels Collection 3 because she couldn't get hold of 2. So, because I now have 2 of the number 3 chart of the High Heels Collection, I'm now going to give away my version of this chart. And I think that these are all starting to be discontinued now. I know that you can't get number 2 for sure, so I think it's just number 3 that's left. So it feels only right to share the love. And given that you all deserve some love for all of the lovely messages and check-ins you've all done with me. So, High Heels Collection Soda Stitch, number 3. I'm now going to do a giveaway. And if you would like to put the words heels in the comments, I will do a draw and we will find out who the lucky winner is for the High Heels Collection. So there we go. A little bit of love for all the love you've all given me. So thank you so much, everyone. What else to tell you? So I had a little bit of stitchy kindness. So Morty, who's on Flosstube. I can't remember, I'll put a link here of a Flosstube channel. She sent me a lovely little message, just sort of saying, hope to see you back at Flosstube soon. We really miss you. And she has kindly sent me a lovely chart called Textured Treasures. Well, in fact, it's a whole kit. So it comes with the beads and the fabric and the threads. And there's the chart. Textured Treasures. So thank you so, so much. I do need to get round to stitching it. Please bear with me a minute. I need to go and rescue the puppy. She's got herself... No, she's not. She's playing with the ball under there. So thank you ever so much for the kind gift. I will add that to my stash, if you like. I need to get a bit more stitching in before I start too much more. But thank you so, so much for that. Bonnie wants to come and make an appearance. Of course she does. Oh, hello, baby. Hello, my love. So what I didn't tell you was part of what I was talking about with my life update. If she's going to let me. Are you going to let me talk? If she's going to let me talk. Is when I was saying about not going at the retreat this weekend and that I'd taken Bonnie for a heart scan. Unfortunately, we got some rather bad news about little Bonbons here. And that is that she has a deformity of one of the heart valves, which is not a cavalier thing. It's not the usual mitral valve disease. It's an anomaly. And it's quite rare what she's got, but she's got dysplasia of one of the valves, which is from one of the fast flow chambers of the heart, which we wasn't expecting. We just thought it was a flow murmur that just was taking a little while to go. But unfortunately, the likelihoods are it will be really quite life-limiting. How long we will get to keep her for and get to have her with us, we do not know. It's like how long's a bit of string. We're going to rescan her again in a year and see whether it's got worse. If it's got worse by a year, then we know it will be quite a big deal, and the likelihoods of her making too many years will be unlikely. But hey, we love her, and for now, she is she seems okay. And as I said to my husband, you know, we don't give up puppies just because they're going to come with a huge vet bill and problems and lose them earlier than we would like, because we've done that already. And if it means that we can give her the right type of life and we can give her all the things that she needs now, then we will. But yeah, so it's quite sad because after losing Coda, you know, you like to think that when you go and get a puppy, you're going to have a puppy until it's, you know, it's going to make old bones, you know, 10 or 11 or 12. Unfortunately, yeah, it's not looking very likely for Madam. But yeah, it's not looking very likely for Bonnie. But like I say, how long we get to keep her for, we do not know. So we will wait and see. And obviously I'll update you all when we, you know, as time goes on. But we'll just enjoy her while we can. I mean, she seems to be enjoying life, so we'll do exactly the same and just love every minute of her while we've got her with us. So, right, so should we do some stitching? I'm just going to leave the girls to make a complete racket in the background, so I do apologise. So I do apologise if they make a total racket in the background. It's going to be the life of the puppy life for now, I think, until they chill out. So where I've got pictures of where you last saw these things, then I will try and post them here somewhere on the video. But I thought rather than me trying to just work out what it is that I've worked on since I last saw you, I might as well just show you all of my WIPs. Everything at some point has had a touch recently in, say, the last, I don't know, 8 months. So I thought, and I didn't do my usual end of year WIP parade, so we'll sort of do the whole thing and combine it. And then I'm at a fresh start for the rest of this year is the plan. So first things first, we have got the drawn thread, Welcome Christmas. I was hopeful that I might have it done by Christmas with everything that happened. Of course, that didn't happen. But I don't think we did too bad. The fabrics I'll put in the description box below and also here on screen so you can see what fabrics and what counts, because in all fairness, I cannot remember for the life of me. But this is where we got to. Love the colours. The stockings are taking quite a while because me, in my wisdom, I decided that I was going to do the... it gave the options of a 2/2 or 1/1, and I decided to do the stockings 1/1. So they're taking a little bit longer to stitch. I probably won't work on this very much now until sort of later in the year, purely because it'd be nice to have it done for Christmas coming. But like I say, once I've got another stocking done 1/1, it should move fairly quickly. So I'll probably leave that one until later on in the year when we start heading into the colder weather, when it gets autumnal. Although it's nice and bright outside, but it's still a bit fresh. Still a bit fresh. So that is the first WIP. Next up we have got, you'll know this one because I used to do this one on my live streams. So this is Little House Needleworks Summer ABC. So that is what it will look like. And this is where we got to. Changed out the colours on this. I think next time I actually get some stitching done on this, I'll probably, when I do the update, I'll say what the changes are. But that is where we've got to on that one. I should really pull that one out because summer is round the corner, apparently. So that is where we got to on that one. So next up we have Cricket Collection Winter. The plan was in the hopes to get this one finished and done and hanging on the wall by Christmas. No, that didn't happen. Surprise, surprise. But we have made a dent in it and it's nearly there. So this is where we got to. So I've finished the R. I think there's another snowflake over here. And then it's just the W and the I to do. And then that one will be done. But yeah, I got bored of stitching winter when we're officially in spring. But it is a good little one to have at the ready every now and then if I feel like getting a few stitches in. Okay, so the girls should be quiet for a little while because they've both got a biscuit each. So hopefully, yeah, I'll get some time to actually talk to you without loads of noise in the background. The next one is Elizabeth Weston, Hands Across the Sea. This one. This is the one that I had done the restart on a different fabric because I didn't like the other fabric. I don't think I've stitched on this since the last time we spoke, but I really should put it on a Q-snap, I think, and just have it sitting because it's one of the ones that you can just sort of do a bit as you go and like just go in a row. But that is where it's got to. So it's literally just started. And the fabric was the new fabric by XG Designs. Again, all the fabrics I'll put in the description box below and also on the bottom of the screen because I can't remember them off the top of my head. So we have Elizabeth Weston, which I haven't really worked on. There's quite a lot of projects that I'm going to sit here saying I haven't actually really worked on. But what have we got next? We have the Mirabilia Winter White Santa. Here he is. I can't remember whether I've put any more stitches into him since we last spoke. I have no idea what I've done and what I haven't done since we last spoke. So yeah, it's a very big bit of fabric and not much actual stitching on it. But where did we get to? We got his face. So that is where we got to. But again, this is one of the ones that I think is going to take me forever. I really struggle with this opalescent fabric. It must just be like my older eyes. So there is that one that still needs a bit of love. One of these days that will come out for a good stint. Just not at the moment. What else have we got? We have my new Frosty Knot Garden chatelaine that I've just started. I know I said I wouldn't start another chatelaine whilst I had one on the go, but I got impatient, the same as the next person. So I just made a start on the centre, and that is where we got to. But I did sort of say to myself that I'm still trying to sort of really plug where I can with Evening in the Park to get that one finished before I really start sort of pulling this one out on a regular basis. But love the colour, love the fabric, love the colours. But I do need to apply my time elsewhere, but at least I've started it. So it's in the wings for stitching. How many of you do that? Say, no, I'm not going to start one of those until I've finished the other one. And then you're like, yeah, slowly but surely. What you plan to do and what you actually do are two different things. That's my world. Okay, so that was that one. Next up, we have full coverage, Heaven and Earth design, Peacock's Lagoon, artwork by... it's always the same, I can't say the name. Ciro Machiti. Here's what it will look like at some point in its life, I hope. Because it is huge. And this is where we got to. And this one. So I'm loving the detail of the moon, but I've been working my way down here on this corner. Do you know what? I'm sitting here saying that I'm going to show you pictures of where you last saw it. I think I'm going to show you pictures of where it was back at the end of the year for the ones that have been on the run for longer than a year. So that way I can see exactly how much progress I got done from 2021. Because, yeah, the last time we looked at it isn't necessarily going to help. So there is that one. I haven't really stitched on that one, I don't think, since we last spoke. Next up we have, again, full coverage, Heaven and Earth design. Oh, by the way, the Peacock's Lagoon was stitched 10th stitch at half cross. And the same goes for Mini Red Queen Red Dragon. Here she is. And Mini Red Queen Red Dragon, again, I'll be showing you pictures of where it was at the beginning of the last year. And this is where we are at now. And we've got like the head of the little dragon at the bottom there. I love stitching on this one. It really should come out more often. But then I say that about all my stitching. When I sit and look at them, I'm like, oh, you know, I really should do that one. But then I never get to it. So there is that one. The next one, again, full coverage. This one is stitched 1/1. And I can't remember whether it's 25 count or 28 count, but it's 1/1 full cross. And this one is artwork by Amy Stewart, and it's the Story Keep Life is an Open Book Paris. There we go. That's what it will look like. And she says this is where we got to on that one. Love the colours. Again, it's one of the ones that I do think really I should put it out more frequently. It's just, yeah, I'm struggling to pull anything out at the moment. But yeah, I think it makes sense to, I really like to see the difference year on year for these bigger, like for the projects that I know are taking me years rather than, you know, start and finish within a year, where you can say monthly, this is what I've achieved since last month or since the last time you saw it. With the ones that take years to stitch, I do like to see the comparison of what I've managed to achieve in the year, because on the full coverage, sometimes if you're only stitching a few hundred stitches a year on it, it doesn't sound like a lot, but then from an image perspective, you can normally see that actually you stitched a lot more than you realised. So they are my full coverages. So the last full coverage I'm currently working on, which is the Alternative Reality by Josephine Wall. I haven't got the image with me for that one, but I'll put an image in here so you can see what it will look like. And again, this is one of the ones that's been on the go for years now, so I'll show you what it looked like at the end of last year. Not this year, just gone, the year before. So that I can see how much progress I've made in a year on this one, and this is where I've got to. I've recently been doing a bit of stitching on this since I've last seen you as well, and I've done some more over here, and I've just started on this next page down here, and my plan is that I'm going to do diagonal stitching, so I'm going to bring all the pages down so that it all just runs diagonal, so that way I can just have different colours going across the whole design. Obviously using Pattern Keeper makes that possible, whereas if I was doing it if I was doing it either from the PDF or on GoodNotes, I'd need to do it page by page because I'd get too lost. But Pattern Keeper makes it so that I can do the whole design on a diagonal, all the pages. So yeah, so my plan is to start diagonally bringing this page down so that it matches that diagonal, and then I'll start truly diagonal stitching. But when I say diagonal stitching, I just do my blocks in diagonals. I'm not actually doing diagonal stitching. But yeah, so that's what I'm currently working on. I done a spot stitching on that and got about 300 or 400 stitches in that yesterday, because I was supposed to have been at the retreat. So I was like, okay, I'll pull out that. The girls sat down nicely. So that is it for the full coverages. What else? So next up is my long dog sampler. My one and only, and it's Castles in the Air. That is what it will look like. This is the one that I'm doing with a Silks for You thread, which is PR161, I think. It's had a negligible amount of stitching done, but again, it did get a touch. So here is where we got to on this one. So where have I been doing? So I've basically been doing some more down here on this bit here. And again, it's another one that really should, I've kept this on a Q-snap, and where I can I'll pull it up and do just a strand or two just to get some movement on it. But I do love this one, and obviously I'm using treasure braid to sort of make some of the details pop, but no rhyme or reason. There's no sort of flow to that. I hadn't decided before I started stitching it what was going to be what. I'm just doing it as I go. But where I can see that there's a bit of a flower or there's an animal, I'm trying to use sort of one of the sparkly threads for that. So there's that. What else have we got? I did start, back on the last video, I said that I was starting the Caterpillar cross stitch How Did Your Garden Grow sale. I would love to say that it went swimmingly and that I managed to achieve so much, but I didn't. But I am, I have stitched on it. I got my little gnome needle minder, but I've only got one mushroom. I haven't even started on February. I think I'm on part 1, and I'm behind on part 1, and part 2's already been released. So although it's a stitch along, I'm not sure I'm going to make the months, in all fairness. I think I'll just be slowly bringing up the rear. I can't believe how long it's taken me to do this video. Okay, so where did we get to? Yep, we done that one, didn't we? Oh, I feel like this video is going all over the place. I'm really sorry, people. So next up is Evening in the Park, Chatelaine. I need to take it off of its scrolls. Again, this is one of the ones that I've been sort of doing bits and pieces on whilst you haven't seen me, because it's a bit of a go-to, as you know. Hold on. Honey, in your beds. In your beds. Good girl. Lay down. So, the last time I saw you, I was working on the bit at the top, and I was working on the lanterns and the snow and the trees and the, oh sorry, jiggled you. So I continued some more.
No need to apologise.
So we continued some more doing, what else have I done on this? So I've been doing the beadwork and the specialty stitches on the finishing on the corners. We finished this gate over here. Yeah, done the specialty stitches over here, filled in the beads on this side. There's some beads to go in these bits, which I'll do last, but I've decided now that I've sort of finished the corners and I've got to there, I've started that one there, there's just a little bit of the gate there, and then thought, you know what, it makes more sense for me to go down and start these corners and do the 2 corners now on the bottom. So that is what I've been working on, and again it's literally just touches when and where I can. You can't really see that much there, but I've started the outline for that corner. But yeah, so it's slow and steady. Definitely slow and steady, this one. But, you know, I don't want to make any mistakes on it. I'm certainly not going to rush it. So, yeah, it's just a continual work in progress. I think if I sort of made it, if I sort of, I don't know, allocated this one as like a priority, I could probably get quite a lot of it done. But it's not until you're actually stitching it that you realise how much is still left to stitch. So, yeah. The aim is to have this done by the end of the year, but given that we're at April already, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Not with all the other projects as well. So that is that. And then finally, I don't know whether I showed this to you or not, but I started a Bella Filipina. This one, Miyari. And when I first got this, the kit I got from Hawkins Hobbies. So if anyone's interested in the UK for a Bella Filipina, they do the full kits with all of the beads and all of the threads. And the problem that happened with this one, so when I first decided to do this one, my original choice on the fabric was a Sparkly's fabric called Gothic. It was a 32 count opalescent linen, which is here. And it's gorgeous and it's full of sparkle. Absolutely loved it. However, my eyes didn't love it. In fact, the complete opposite. And that was as far as I got. And I think I talked about this on one of my last videos. You can see how much sparkle is in there, but it was just too small. Too small, too sparkly. I couldn't see what I was doing and I wasn't enjoying the stitching on it because I couldn't see what I was doing, which I was gutted about because I absolutely loved the fabric. Absolutely love that fabric, it's gorgeous. So I contacted Kate at Sparkly's, we had a little chit chat, and I decided to start again on a different fabric. So I decided to go with Supernova. It's a 28 count instead of a 32 count. It's still a dark fabric, but not as dark, and it's not opalescent. So I thought, well, I'll give that a go, and I was thinking, I'm not sure it was going to be enough, but do you know what? It is, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So I can't remember how long ago I showed anything, so I don't know what you've seen and what you haven't seen, but this is where I got to. Excuse the hanging threads as always, you know that I love to have some hanging threads. So this is Supernova, so it's still nice and dark, but because it's not opalescent, it's actually easier for me to stitch. So this is where I got to. So I don't think I've done too bad. I definitely made a dent in it. But it's a great one to sit and stitch in the living room when I've got full daylight because I can see all the holes. Whereas when I try and stitch this at night time, it can be a bit more tricky. But I love the colour of the fabric. Love the colour of the fabric. I think it's going to look lovely when it's done. Absolutely love that fabric. And love the pattern, love the design. So that's Miari. So there you go. So that's what I've been doing whilst I've been missing in action. Like I say, I mean, I know it sounds like I went in depth about what's happened in life, but I sort of haven't. I've basically briefed over the top of it all. But my plan is that if I can find time, if the girls will sit quietly enough whilst I'm sitting stitching like they do when I'm working, which if I do in the office, the new office, because that's another thing, I've moved into what was my old bedroom, so yeah, which is going to be a spare room stroke stitching room stroke office because I've given Lauren the office. But it's still, everything's just been thrown in there and I'm just dealing with it. But that is going to be the new office space stroke stitchy space. So probably that is where I will start doing all my recordings from, as and when I can. So I think the plan is that the girls are pretty good when they're in the office. I can put their beds in the office and whilst I'm working, they just lay on their beds and go to sleep. They might sit and chew on a little chew toy, but they're not noisy normally. They know that mummy's working. So that might be the time that if on a Saturday or a Sunday, you know, if I attach everything to the desk and do my stitching in there, I could probably get away with doing some stitch with me's without being too disturbed like they are today because they're in the living room. When they're in the living room, it's almost like it's playtime because the living room, when we're all in the living room, is normally when they're allowed to do their rough and tumble play and, you know, make lots of noise. But when they're in the office, they tend to know that they have to sit nice and quietly in their beds. So, yeah, that's probably going to be the best place to do my recording. It will definitely be, it goes another squeaky toy, it will definitely be the best place to do a stitch with me. But I think what I'll try and do is try and pick some projects where I can do stitch with me's. There's so much detail about what's happened in life, you know, what's happened with mum, what happened with Coda, about the girls. That probably if I sit and do a stitch with me, I've definitely got something to talk about now, that's for sure, because there's so much that I haven't told you all. Also, as a heads up, one of the reasons that I wanted to get this video done and get the first one with all the niggles and all the issues and where do I start, the reason I wanted to get this one up and done now is I'm actually due to go in for my hip surgery. So I'm going in for my full hip replacement in 3 weeks' time. So the 25th of April, I go in hospital. I think I'm in for 3 to 5 days. They're not sure yet. And then I'll be at home recovering. So the plan of action is that providing the girls behave themselves enough, when I come out of hospital, I'll probably sleep in the new downstairs makeshift spare room stroke office stroke, purely because trying to get up the stairs with the puppies and then get them down to go outside and do, you know, go to the toilet might be a bit more tricky for me. So I'll probably camp out downstairs and stay downstairs at least for the first week, 10 days after the surgery, so that I'm on ground level and I can, you know, if the girls need to get out quickly, I've got more chance to get to the back door to let them out. But the plan is that I will probably try and do some stitch with me's, or, you know, actually get some more stitching done, because I'll be recovering with surgery. So yeah, so I'll probably do some stitch with me's whilst I'm recovering from my surgery. But that's the plan anyway. I have lots of plans, but you know what it's like. I mean, that's the thing. It's I have plans. My plans went to pot almost for 6 months now. The girls are settling in, but again, they still require a lot of, I mean, we go training twice a week in the evenings. Normally they go puppy socialisation on a Saturday morning, which I didn't take them to today because it's my home stitchy retreat weekend. And then we go puppy training on a Sunday morning. So yeah, there's lots of training that goes on, but I have to take one at a time. But between them and the fact that they don't really sit and let me stitch, because you do have to watch them. And then obviously spring is here, so the garden is just starting to come alive, and the girls have just worked out that they can go in the garden and eat everything in sight. So again, you can't just leave them to roam around in the garden. So I do feel like I'm constantly up and down all the time. But yeah, so I mean, you know, things will get easier. You know, hopefully my mum will, you know, get over this last hurdle of this viral infection that she's got, and she'll bounce back a little bit more. The girls, as they get older, they will get easier, because they'll just, you know, I can trust them. Obviously, I'll be going back into London after my hip surgery, but I've got some recovery time first. So yeah, I mean, everything's going to be changing and happening, but I'm hoping that now that I've got this first video out the way and done and chatted with you all, that the others will just be smaller, easier, and I'll just sort of be like, hi, and I can just show you what I did in the last month. Yeah, that's the plan. I love best laid plans, don't you? Anyway, enough of me waffling. It's great to be back of sorts. I do apologise about this video and the fact that there's so much more on the life update and probably not very much on the stitching. Hopefully that will turn around. That's the plan. And like I say, I'll go in a bit more detail about life on some Stitch With Me's if you're interested. If not, then just turn me off, put some music on in the background and sit and stitch with me. But the plan for today is hopefully get this video edited and uploaded at some point this weekend for you. And I'm going to hopefully have some time to sit and do my home stitching retreat. And for those of you that are at the retreat that I should have been at this weekend, ladies, I am so sorry I'm not there. I am missing you all terribly. I hope you get lots of stitching done and lots of purchasing done. Yeah, I am gutted. I'm gutted, but the decision was made for all the right reasons. So on top of that, I now need to go and make my cottage pie so that Mum's got some lunch. But yeah, great to be back. Fingers crossed nothing else happens and that I will see you again next month, and maybe some videos during the month where I'm doing some stitching and we can have a knitter natter and a chat. But yeah, it's a long awaited video, and it took me so long to get this recorded because I just didn't know where to start. So I thought, you know what? Throw yourself in. The video will be what it will be. People will either love it or hate it, but it's the best I can do. So, but thank you so much, everyone, again, for all the lovely comments, all the lovely messages. Fingers crossed I'm back now. Yeah. So until next time, people, bye-bye for now.